I didn't think Oda could make a more epic flashback character than Kozuki Oden, who was a part of Whitebeard's crew and the Pirate King's crew, Goldie Roger, and almost defeated Kaido, but he did it again with Rocks, the man who killed an admiral 18 years ago before God Valley, met Imu, clashed with King Harold with a Conqueror's Haki coded clash. Of course, this is the King Harold of Elbaf, the monster, defeated Garling 18 years later on God Valley, and his demon army of the Davy clan that was helping him, and is now facing the world again. The only issue is Rocks is too much of a good guy and a plot twist needs to happen for Garp and Roger to officially team up versus Rocks. The man just wanted to save his wife and kid. I also want to mention how we have a confused Garp and a hyped up Roger after another adventurous twist, so I believe Imu will turn Rocks evil. Yes, he will do it and make him fight Roger like Majin Vegeta versus Goku. So subscribe to the channel as we do a deep dive on the demon Rocks. Now, usually when I make these videos, I go in depth with most of the characters I talked about. This video has Rocks in it, Garp, Roger, Imu. I'd probably do in-depth analysis on how it's being built up by Oda and, of course, the far past. But One Piece is in its final saga, guys. It's not in its regular arcs. Final saga means we focus and center more so on the current story than the past. And currently in this flashback, there was a lot going on that we haven't really highlighted, like Roger versus Whitebeard. Yes, Roger versus Whitebeard happened for a split second on God Valley, and if I'm being honest, it was a side note. It was a simple clash, and it was just for a story element to make Rayleigh go for Shaki. Whitebeard, the world's strongest man, Roger. When we saw these guys clash in Oden's flashback, it was unbelievable. Some people didn't even get to live to make it to see Roger vs. Whitebeard. We were shocked that Oda was even showing us this, because we never thought we would see the day. But yeah, now we're seeing them clash, and as a side note, that tells you all you need to know about what is to come at the end of God Valley, guys. There is a much bigger plot point. And the same way that Whitebeard was kind of used as a side plot for Roger, he also is used first as a side plot for Garp. Yes, Garp comes out of nowhere with a hockey fist, and Whitebeard says, yo, I don't want to fight this guy, it's gonna take too long. And Big Mom throws an attack and Garp tanks it, and Kaido wants to fight, but of course Big Mom says can it, and they're running. Yes, 3 Yonkos are running from Vice Admiral Monkey D. Garp, the hero of the Marines. Like, Oda is using Whitebeard as a hype tool in God Valley. It's kind of interesting how Whitebeard is so strong that now he's being used to hype up characters. And yeah, Roger is a monster because he clashed with Whitebeard. Garp is a monster because Whitebeard didn't want to fight him. This is hype tools, and that shows you that Whitebeard is not even a main factor in this God Valley flashback right now. Even though he's been centered a lot, the 3 main guys are obviously Rocks, Garp, and Roger. And speaking of Rocks, he's had his run with Roger. Of course, their beef during Pirate Island, where Roger pulled up, and of course Rocks is like, yo, I told you not to show up here, and Roger's like, well, this is actually a safe space for us to not fight. It's like Oda wants to show that Roger and Rocks had their run-in, their crews had their run-in, but of course their beef is not as it's not as big as we thought it was. Like, we thought, of course, Sengoku said the greatest foe to Roger was Rocks, but now we're starting to see it was more so Rocks was the strongest foe that Roger ever faced, and that's why he was the greatest rival. And if I'm being honest, guys, it really shows when we're seeing this God Valley flashback what Oda was trying to show with Rocks and Roger. And then of course we have Garp and Rocks, where they don't really interact at all. Garp doesn't really give a crap about Rocks, which is very interesting. Like, when Rocks was going to, of course, God Valley, he didn't care, but when Roger's going, he starts running there. So obviously Garp has more of a infatuation with Roger and his motives than Rocks, and I'm not surprised because Rocks and Roger and Garp seem to be more, in a sense, have different values than Roger. Roger just seems to be chaotic, guys. Like, the way he's talking about adventure, where this is the most darkest energy pulls up to God Valley, where Garp is more confused and Rocks is more like, okay, now it's time to face the world. We're seeing difference in their energies, and Rocks talks about Garp and says that man will be better suited as a pirate. So he knows that Willie D member needs to be a pirate and not, of course, a part of the Marines. So enough of me rambling on what we just seen in the flashback if you've been paying attention, guys, and let me actually talk about what I think is going to happen at the end of God Valley. First things first, we got to get Kaido out the paint, guys. Kaido is doing some great things on God Valley. First things first, he got his Dell Fruit, and it wasn't given to him, guys. He actually hit Big Mom with his weapon and ate it real quick. And he was smiling at Big Mom, and that was pretty cool. And Kaido wanted to fight Garp. I like that energy he had there. And he wanted to fight Roger too as well. Kaido is impressing me with his energy, but let's be honest here, guys. Kaido is not the Kaido we've seen in Wano. That Luffy had to go Gear 5, Conqueror's Haki Coding, Future Sight, Advanced Armor Haki. Yeah, no, that is not the Kaido we're facing right now. The Kaido that took on Zoro, got scarred, and still was standing. The Kaido that is just durable as hell. No, this Kaido is just got his new Dove Rune and he's jumping for glee. He's going to get low diff by Imu. He's going to be a jobber here. Yes, Kaido will be a jobber to show the world's power. And Whitebeard and Rocks are definitely going to take it more serious once Kaido gets low diff. That is my speculation here. Then there's Whitebeard. I think Whitebeard is not going to lose to the world right now in this clash. But I do think Whitebeard is going to be getting high diff. Not like we've seen this run-ins with Garp and Roger where he ran away from Garp and Roger, he clashed with him. No, Whitebeard didn't look that bad in those exchanges. He's going to look pretty bad in this Imu exchange. Not bad where like Whitebeard's weak, but more so like, okay, Imu's legit. But I don't think the fight's going to end. I think there's going to be an interaction where Whitebeard doesn't have his fight ended with Imu, but Whitebeard definitely will have some scratches on him. And guys, it's going to really show Marineford compared to God Valley and how Prime Whitebeard had to face much bigger obstacles on God Valley than Marineford, where he was just facing his sickness, if I'm being honest. But this is all gonna lead to Rocks facing the world part 2. Last time he faced Imu, he actually didn't even fight Imu. He left, but he told Imu, I'll be back. This time he's gonna fight. He's gonna throw hands with Imu, and he's not gonna win because Imu's still on top. Imu will take damage though. Imu will take damage, and Imu was asking about Rocks to Saturn, and that's the reason why he pulled up to God Valley. But Rocks will lose. Not maybe fairly, maybe not fairly. That doesn't really matter. All I know is that Rocks will lose, and he's gonna get that demon reverse thing that's been going on to the Davy clan. It's going on right now on Elbaf to Dorian Broggy. He's gonna get the demon power that Imu's been doing, and Rocks will be on Imu's side, guys. Maybe Rocks gets distracted like Odin. Maybe we see a parallel there, but I do think Rocks will be on Imu's side, and that's going to be a game changer. Now, this is where things get interesting, because now that Rocks is an evil guy, because let's be honest here, Rocks has been a pretty good guy so far, guys, which is just shocking to us. But now that Rocks is an evil guy, we're probably going to see Rocks fight Whitebeard. And Whitebeard is the world's strongest man with the world's strongest Delph Food, Paramecia Delph Food that can destroy the world. And Whitebeard's going to be a little bit injured from his run-in with Imu earlier. I think that Whitebeard actually loses to Rocks, his captain. And this demon Rocks is going to be Whitebeard. He's going to have amps. It's not a regular Rocks guy. Yes, guys, Rocks is going to be amped up. His ability is going to be stronger. He's already insanely powerful. We just defeated Garling and his demon army. Now he gets these demon powers for himself. Rocks is going to be unstoppable, and Whitebeard is going to be the tool to show that, yeah, Whitebeard will lose to Rocks, and it's going to be insane. Don't forget, when Whitebeard seen Shanks, he said, it reminds me of the scar I got. I think Garling is going to take advantage of course, Rocks being on their side, and Garling is going to hit Whitebeard with a nasty blow after Rocks defeats Whitebeard. It's going to be insane, and that's why Whitebeard mentions that scar to Shanks. I think it's all going to add up here in God Valley, and this is where we finally get what Sengoku was talking about during Wano. Demon Rocks versus Monkey D, Garp, and Gold D Roger. When Garp and Roger show up and see a Demon Rocks, not Demon Garling, but a Garling with regenerative powers, and Imu, 3 of these guys facing, with Kaido on the ground, with Whitebeard on the ground. When they see this, they have no choice but to team up. These guys who are rivals, who've been fighting each other, are finally going to team up. Don't forget, these guys are, if not in their prime, close to their prime. Like, Roger is actually, might even be close to his prime now than when he fought Whitebeard during the war, 3-day war. So I do think that Roger and Garp are going to go ham, and we're going to see them versus Demon Rocks. It's going to be insane to see. Rocks is, of course, going to have like crazy buffs with the demon powers. Roger and Garp are straight hockey men. Of course, Roger with his sword and Garp with his fist. And seeing, of course, the parallels between Garp and Luffy and Garp and Roger. It's going to be hyped to see them together working against Rocks, who has parallels to Blackbeard. Man, the hype is just going to be ultimately real. But that's not it, guys. There's going to be more. There's going to be Roger fighting Imu. I think Imu, of course, combined with Saturn, has to taste a divine departure. That's Roger's famous move. Shanks even stole it. I think Roger has to hit Imu with a divine departure. And Imu is going to look at Roger like, okay, this guy is legit. We might even get the finishing blow from Roger, who defeats Imu and Saturn combined. It's not going to be actually Imu because Imu's still not there. Technically, Imu's just taking over Saturn's body. But That's maybe why Saturn actually gets killed on Egg Island. It's not his first time failing. Maybe he failed on God Valley if Roger hits him with that divine departure. And then secondly, Joy Boy comes out of there with the hockey. Saturn, your time has to be up after God Valley and after Egghead Island incident. Yeah, it's time for you to go. That's what Imo's thinking. And I think Garp will actually get the finishing blow on Rocks. Even though Roger and Rocks are rivals and whatnot, I think Roger at the end of the day would want a finishing blow on a not demon Rocks. I don't think he wants a finishing blow on a demon Rock. So I think Garp, being a hero Marines, I think he gets that claim to power by getting the finishing blow on the demon Rocks, of course with Roger's help. It's kind of remind me of Law and Kid versus Big Mom. It's gonna give me that kind of vibes where Roger and Garp are gonna be competing and talking shit to each other while they're fighting Rocks. And this is gonna be such a cool fight. I think they should make a movie out of this fight. It's gonna be so hype. And now you're probably thinking, why talk about this? Why talk about God Valley and how Rocks versus Roger and Garp is so important? Well, the reason why it's so important is because it's happening again, guys. Imu has come to Elbaf the same way he came to God Valley, taking over Gunko, the same way he took over Saturn. And I think that it's going to be a lot of moments from the God Valley flashback building up to the Elbaf arc. First of all, Shanks versus Blackbeard. Shanks is Garling's son, Blackbeard is Rocks' son. They fought on God Valley, and we've seen, of course, Ares and Dragon running off trying to get these kids off the island. It's going to be hype. Of course, Shamrock, of course, being involved as well is going to be cool to see. Then there's Loki and Luffy. Loki and Luffy have the 2 legendary Delphus that Rocks mentioned. Luffy, of course, having the Nika power that even Saturn and Imu actually referenced recently in the last chapter. And Loki, of course, with that legendary Delphu from the, of course, the mural. This is the most transparent we've seen of Imu in a long time, guys. Seeing Imu and Rocks face each other again on God Valley. And then, of course, maybe if Imu has that sword from the Demon Rocks that, of course, he's kept with him in the flower room, I could definitely see a situation where maybe Oda even brings Rocks' back. Yeah, Rocks' demon form is actually still there. Maybe he just never dies once he turns into a demon. It's going to be a really crazy plot point to see if Oda tries to give the reverse, like, because we know Rocks killed his entire family when they returned to demon. So maybe, we know that I think one of the Straw Hat Pirates is going to turn into a demon, and Luffy's not going to try to kill the Straw Hat Pirates because we have to find a solution, and maybe Nika is that solution. Maybe Nika actually frees Rocks from Imu's power. I'm not too sure where Oda's gonna go, if Rocks is gonna be killed in God Valley or he's gonna be in hiding as a secret weapon for Imu. All I know is that God Valley flashback is super important to the final saga. So as a fan, it's gonna be a treat.